So, another episode of Uncle Matt Explained. Today, I'm going to talk about the basics of electricity. So, some of the basic things that we have within electricity are voltage, current, and resistance. So, basic way to explain something as current. Current is the flow of electrons going through from a negative to a positive. Now, unfortunately, because of convention, even though the actual flow of electrons goes from the negative terminal of a battery or from ground to the positive, in reality, according to convention, we draw current as flowing from the positive to the negative side. And current is measured in amperes, or amps for short. Then we have resistance. And resistance is essentially some form of material that resists the flow of electrons going through it. And so the greater the amount of resistance, the higher the amount of resistance to that electron flow, and that is measured in something called ohms, or the Greek symbol. And finally, the last kind of basic form for electricity that is important to know about is voltage, or sometimes in older books also is given with an E, because it's electromotive force, and it's the amount of force essentially that it takes to move electrons through some sort of resistance. And so it's backwards, but we have in our equation this Ohm's law, which is V equals IR. Now you might be wondering, why is I used for current? Well, that's just due to historical conventions. Sorry, but it is I, in electrical engineering especially. So again, important thing to know, your voltage equals your current multiplied by your resistance. So if you have a higher resistance, you will require a higher voltage. Higher current means higher voltage. And of course, you can switch the equations around to be able to say, okay, I have I have a voltage and a resistance. What is the current? You just manipulate the equation around and you can figure out the different values. And before I forget, the other thing to know with volts is it is measured in volts. Pretty straightforward. So